Hey, Joe, what's up?
Oh, not much, Dana. We're so excited that you're hosting the show tonight.
I'm very excited, too. I'm going to try something that Greg has never tried before.
What's that?
Comedy. Everyone, I'm Dana Perino in for Greg on this special edition of Gutfeld, and it is special. Let's start with some jokes. There's a stifling heat wave that continues to scorch the Northeast. It's so hot in New York City, instead of Molotov cocktails, protesters are throwing Slurpees.
All right.
F1, the new Brad Pitt movie about Formula One racing, opens in theaters this weekend. Now, I don't want to say that Brad is getting a little old, but he spends 90% of the movie driving around with his left turn signal on. He offered to do his own driving as long as he could pretend he was running over Angelina Jolie. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker announced that he will seek a third term next year. Needless to say, of course, J.B. has a long history of asking for thirds. In New York City's primary for mayor yesterday, ex-Governor Andrew Cuomo was defeated by socialist Zohran Mamdani. Cuomo was so stunned, he tried to grope himself. Planned Parenthood has encouraged men to get screened for cervical cancer. I do that every month, said one man. After AOC said she wanted to impeach Trump, he responded by calling her one of the dumbest people in Congress, which isn't fair. Why limit it to Congress? Trump did say AOC is far more qualified than Jasmine Crockett, but that's like saying Greg is more bearable than Jesse. Trump then referred to AOC as the mouse. Now, that's not fair either. One struggles to find its way out of a basic maze, and the other's a mouse. And finally, a retired general called Operation Midnight Hammer a little bit surreal. Yeah, well, that's compared to Operation Midnight Hammer when Bill went clubbing in Vegas. So, New York just held its primary for mayor and elected a socialist as the Democrat candidate to move on to November's general election, moving NYC ahead in the race for most self-destructive city, somewhere between Chicago and Mogadishu. 33-year-old Zohran Mamdani beat Andrew Cuomo in this shocking upset on Tuesday. Yes, that Andrew Cuomo, the same one who sentenced grannies to death in nursing homes during COVID. I guess the senior vote was important after all. The same Cuomo who resigned in disgrace and blamed his gropey tendencies on being Italian like he was Super Mario popping Cialis instead of mushrooms. But a guy like Zohran is today's Democratic Party. This is where the energy, the money, and the ambition are. An anti-Semitic, socialist, inexperienced, immature radical who promises to freeze the rent, offer free bus rides, tax corporations and the 1%, and open government-run grocery stores, which will make getting food as efficient as the DMV. Instead of being at Whole Foods, you'll be in the bread line the entire day. Now, Mamdani didn't come up through business, law enforcement, or even working at a Jamba Juice. No, he is a failed rapper, just like our own MC Hammer. And a guy who went from dropping rhymes to dropping economic fairy tales. He was born in Uganda, educated at Harvard, never had a real job. He's a New York liberal's dream since they love anyone who is not white or competent. Imagine Che Guevara with a TikTok account. That's what we have. Zohran grew his support among young voters through the popular social media app, amassing over 400,000 followers and millions of combined views on his account. Posting videos with AOC, Bernie Sanders, supermodel Emily Ratajkowski, and that little twerp David Hogg who tried to hijack the DNC but lacked the grip strength to take the wheel. Before the election, National Review called him the TikTok brain rot candidate and hoped New York Dems of common sense would see through the social media smoke and mirrors. But they didn't. And other blue cities like Chicago tried to warn us. The Windy City went from Lori Lightfoot to someone even further to the left, Democrat socialist Brandon Johnson. The Chicago Tribune told New Yorkers, quote, "They've seen this movie before, and the ending isn't pretty." Then they ducked under the editorial desk at the sound of gunfire. So what does Mamdani's victory mean for the rest of the country? Well, as Politico notes, it signals a seismic shift in national politics and a test for the socialist movement. A win would shock the Democratic Party and inspire other like-minded lefties. Translation: America, be prepared for people like Zoran to pop up where you live. But then comes the real socialism. Big government devolving into dictatorship. Look around the globe. Socialism's batting average makes the Mets look like the Yankees. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yes.
So there can be little doubt now, this is today's Democratic Party. Let's just stop pretending and call it the Socialist Party, okay? And they have more in common with the KGB than they do JFK. But like most of America's blue cities now run by socialists to varying degrees, New York doesn't need another visionary with zero experience. We need potholes filled, subways that don't smell like urine, and cops who aren't being told to apologize before making an arrest. So Zoran Mamdani is a failed rapper turned socialist influencer with no experience running anything larger than a group chat. He wants to turn America's financial capital into yet another failed democratic experiment in free stuff. And the scary part, he's likely going to win in November because he's promising dreams to a generation raised on TikTok dances and money from mom and dad. So congratulations are in order, New York. You are the new Chicago. You're going to follow the second city into third world problems. And congratulations to you, Zoran, and to all your fellow Democrat travelers. Enjoy the decline in your income, safety, and certainly the quality of our pizza. Let's welcome tonight's guest. In high school, he was voted most likely to make people boo. It's comedian Joe Maki. He's known for Crashing and the TV show and Strangers' Weddings, comedian Sherrod Small. The heat wave drastically reduced her complaints about being cold. New York Times best-selling author and Fox News contributor Kat Tim. And he cast enough shade to cool off New Jersey. New York Times best-selling author, comedian, and former NWA world champion. It's Tyrus. Okay, it's hard for me to do those intros because I'm really not that mean. I know that wasn't true about you because around you, Maki, I see you're just like surrounded by beautiful women wherever you go. Does Mamdani potentially becoming mayor threaten your ability to carry off your masculinity?
No, Dana, when things get dangerous, women seek out a chiseled alpha male. A few quick points. It's never a good sign when the liberal Chicago Tribune is warning New York City against voting for a Democrat. That's like Playgirl saying, "Don't look at my body." Also, I think it's time for Republicans to start promising free things, like you'll be free from being stabbed in the neck by someone with 45 priors, or you'll be free from being harassed by transnational sex workers, no matter how hot they think I am, or you'll be free from having your rental unit seized so Sherrod can live there for free again.
I need a space.
It's not as though Democrats ran a good candidate. That's why I'm a little surprised that people are talking about this sea change. They ran Andrew Cuomo, who just resigned due to sexual harassment, and he murdered old people. Like, say what you want about the other candidates, they didn't murder any old people.
And then they weren't around to vote.
That's true.
Exactly. Sherrod, what is going to happen if he actually becomes mayor? Should we be worried, or are you chill?
I mean, life is going to continue the same in New York City. First of all, Chicago giving us advice is like, shut up. You're the second city for a reason. When you dump deep dish pizza, shut up. Second of all, Cuomo was getting it from all ends. First of all, he had the Carpenters Union support him, which half of the Carpenters Union can't even vote in New York City because they don't live here. It's like he's out of touch. And then Trump already hit him with those charges right before. So Trump hates Cuomo. Other people don't really like him. So what kind of chance did he really have in New York City? And plus, it's not really a shocking defeat if you go around this town talking to people. Because people wanted to change. And most of the people in the city now are not like old school New Yorkers. They're Midwesterners who moved here and gentrified the neighborhoods. So white people got to blame white people for this.
Well, it's interesting because Kat, actually, if you look at some of the demographics, like the lower income people did not vote for Mondani, but the older affluent people did, like the awfuls that
Everybody who use like city bikes and love brunch, that's y'all.
You've never been on a city bike.
No.
What do you think of all this?
Yeah, I read something that said we had young people vote for him. You know, the average New Yorker's 38 years old, and it's like, yeah, that's because you run out of money to live here as it is. It's gonna get even more insane if he wins. I think it shouldn't be too hard to beat him, though, right? I almost wish that like I ran. You know, like
we can make it happen.
No, I'm not. I am not qualified, but I feel like how easy is it to like vote for me? I'm not that guy. Like, I will let you keep stores. Like, this is crazy. If he wins, that is really, really concerning because I get that people were excited and people kind of didn't think he had a chance, and then boom, all of a sudden he did. And oh, look at this. That could happen again. But at a certain point, it's like if that happens and these things can get through, maybe New York will actually be done. At what point can people still live here? If I didn't have this job keeping me here, I would have left a long time ago. And I was one of those little weirdos that's like, when I grow up, I would live in New York City. And even I'm sick of this.
And it makes a difference when you become a parent.
Yeah.
As well.
Kids are a luxury item around here.
Yeah.
It is expensive.
Yep. Tyrus, is New York City ever going to learn its lesson?
No, it's New York City. And the thing about New York City is it always inspires me to live elsewhere. Like, I'm in beautiful Florida now. And I tried New Jersey. The biggest problem with New Jersey is it was too close to New York. Because they just don't get it. It's virtue signaling at its finest. People who are voting for him, their lives won't change one way or the other. But it feels good like I voted for this guy because, and you ask them, well, what is it about him you voted for? And they'll be like, well, he's a minority and he hates the police, so I'm cool, I'm with it. Like, that's not why you should vote. You should vote based off what's best for your communities. The people on the lower end of the spectrum who will feel the results of, whenever they say free anything, there's never been a good thing free ever. There's always a cost. There's nothing free. When you say free, that means you are taking small business owners out of the loophole. So then the economy crashes. Then you're going to say, well, it's government-run food places, which means they will pick the food. And if you want the same government picking the food that told you that frosted mini-wheats was part of the food pyramid, then you really, really need to look at yourself or at what's going on mentally in this country. New York is, you want it to be better. Cuomo, of course he wasn't going to get votes. All the younger people, they miss their grandparents. All the older people, they miss their parents. He had no business running. It was an affront. So I think it's a fault. I hope people realize what Mayor Adams did. He put the city above party. And I hope that the New Yorkers will be like, we're starting to get our police force back here.
Right.
We're starting to get our streets cleaned up here. It's a huge, you got to get the attorneys fixed up. You got to get all these different things. But it starts with a strong mayor who starts with law and order, because that's what people really need in cities, more so than anywhere else. Because you can't sit in your beautiful porch in Florida with your Henry rifle going, make my day.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying there's a chance that I will not ever move here.
All right, up next, Rogan Chit Chats with Bernie.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.